The protest group Black Lives Matter has been disrupting the rallies of Democratic candidates, and after Hillary Clinton met privately with the group, a video of the encounter was leaked to the media.
What I mean to say is that this is and has always been a wet problem of violence. It's not, there's not much that we can do to stop the violence against us.
Well, respectfully, if that is your position, then I will talk only to white people about how we are going to deal with the very real problems.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. No. But like what I'm saying is what you just said was a form of victim blaming, right? You were saying that what the Black Lives Matter movement needs to do to change white hearts is
no,
to
I'm not talking about
policy
look, I don't believe you change hearts. I believe you change laws, you change allocation of resources, you change the way systems operate.
Kelly Goff, some conservative media outlets saying that was not a great moment for Hillary Clinton, but New York Times news story said she was spontaneous, impassioned, unconcerned about potential repercussions seemingly. Washington Post news story, candid, blunt, pragmatic. Who's right?
Here's what's interesting, Howie, is so when Black Lives Matter confronted Bernie Sanders, the media narrative became clearly that Black Lives Matter hurt Bernie Sanders, right? He was attacked by the left for not handling the moment appropriately. He was attacked by the right for not appearing weak. And this resulted in weeks of stories about him that were negative and unflattering. And he'd enjoyed a pretty good ride in terms of press coverage prior to that. After Hillary, she clearly learned from, their campaign learned from what happened to Bernie Sanders. And she actually came across as forceful and authoritative in terms of her knowledge on the issue, but she also expressed real compassion and understanding for it, and that's why, as a result, I don't think she's been hurt as badly, and that the coverage reflects that. I think she really learned from how badly this hurt Sanders, and she handled herself differently, and I actually think it worked for her.
But Matt Lewis, when she talks about greater allocation of resources, you know, some pundits saying, well, that's not how Bill Clinton would have done it.
No, you know what? She ain't Bill Clinton. She doesn't have a fraction of his charisma, likability, and that's really what this is. You know, maybe it's a Rorschach test, but I have to say, I think she came across as hostile. I think she was, you know, pointing, which is always a horrible optics when you're pointing at people. I think she came across horrible. But
okay,
look, I think there's.
Can I jump in? Sorry.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Well,
but if you're going to jump in, I want to move us along to this because we're short on time. Why have the media not been more critical of this group? Which I'm not saying it doesn't have the right to protest. I'm not saying there aren't legitimate issues about law enforcement. But when you stop candidates from speaking, I'm a free speech guy. Why are they shutting people down from speaking?
I believe David Duke has a right to give a speech uninterrupted, even though everything he says in the speech is something I disagree with. So you and I are in agreement on there, Howie. What I was going to say, though, back to Matt, is, first of all, I don't think Bill Clinton would have been Bill Clinton in the current media environment, because he would have already gotten himself in trouble on Twitter. He already would have gotten himself in trouble with Black Twitter. He already would have gotten himself...
I got to move on to the press. So let me just get Matt back in briefly. Julius Jones of this group told CNN, when people say all lives matter, it's a violent statement. Is there a fear on the media if they criticize this group of appearing racially insensitive?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely there is. But look, here's what I think the untold story is, or the undertold story. We have seen for years on the right, there's this schism, you know, people with the Tea Party movement. This is happening on the left. This is a radical group that is really tearing the left apart. They've been very disciplined for the last 8 years under Obama, the left in general. And now I think you're seeing the phenomenon on the left as well.
Got to wrap it up, but let me give Kelly Goff a last comment.
Look, I think that Matt's not the target audience for Hillary Clinton in that video, and the media coverage that we're seeing reflects that. I think that she actually won this encounter, and I think it was a positive media win for her, because I'm hearing from other African Americans. If you look at African American sites, people are saying she handled herself well, including in my own family. So this was actually a win for her.
Including in your family. Okay, got to go. Kelly Goff, Matt Lewis, thanks very much. Next on Media Buzz, a huge debate over a New York Times expose about Amazon's hyper-competitive culture. Is it as heartless as the paper contends?